know about Mickey Gilley's afraid to ask. Here's your shot. Yes, I like Crown.
Okay, first question. You're from Natchez, Mississippi.
I was born in Natchez.
Did you live there as a kid?
No, I was raised in Louisiana.
Okay. And so what part of Louisiana were you from?
A little town called Faraday.
How far is that from New Orleans?
It's about 9 miles from Natchez, Mississippi.
Oh, so you're close to Natchez. Okay. Were your folks musical?
Well, my mother, the musical talent came from the Lewis side of the family. Okay. My mother was a Lewis.
Okay.
As you probably know, I'm akin to Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, I know that. Okay.
Don't hold that against me.
I won't. So did you guys play a lot as kids?
We were just teenage boys growing up in Faraday, and Jerry started playing piano when he was about 7 years old. I didn't start until I was about 13. Jimmy, the one that made more money than me and Gilley put together, started playing when he was about 8 or 10.
And that's where you learned your boogie woogie style and the gospel style and all that?
Well, I wouldn't say I learned the boogie woogie from the gospel music we was playing. I started creating that as time went by, and I wanted to be a rock and roll star at the time.
Okay.
And I came up with a lick on the piano with my left hand. Was taught to me by a guy by the name of Al Harris, who played piano for Conway Twitty. He showed me the lick, and I practiced till I got it down where I could play it pretty good. And at the end, I was doing pretty good until I had an accident.
Okay. And you got a big break, and you went to New Orleans, and you were on Dot Records, correct?
I went to Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, okay. So tell me about Memphis when you went there the first time.
Well, I was trying to get a break in music. My first recording on the major label was on Dot Records, and the song was called Call Me Shorty, and the other side was Come On Baby, and it was a bad record.
So tell me about Dot Records. What was Dot Records like? Was it like Sun Records?
Wasn't even close.
What was it like? I don't really know what it is.
Well, it was a major record label at the time, but you know, it didn't do any good for my career as far as the record was concerned. The record company was concerned. I only had the one release, and that was it.
And then did they let you go, or what happened?
Well, I didn't even make the charts with it. I wasn't even a one-hit wonder with them.
So what did you do after that? After you left Dot?
I was struggling in the music business, trying to have the hits, and
were you touring all the time?
Oh no, I was trying to have recordings around the country. I was Lake Charles, New Orleans, Nashville, Memphis. Every time I'd go in a recording studio, I was trying to have hits, and I was struggling in the business. So evidently I didn't do very well because I didn't have a hit at all during that period of time. But back in 1959 and 60, I ended up in Houston. I was doing construction work, and I get a call from a guy by the name of Leland Rogers, who happens to be Kenny Rogers' brother, and he wanted me to cut a song called The Wayward Wind.
Okay.
And I told him, I said, I got a better song than that. And he says, what is it? And I said, Is It Wrong for Loving You? And he says, never heard it. And I said, well, it's an old Warner Mac song. I played it for him on the piano, recorded it, became my first chart record, and the guy playing the bass guitar on the recording session was Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. And that's before he was with that band with all the people in it a little bit.
At that time, he was with the Bobby Doyle Trio in Houston, playing jazz music.
He was.
This is 1959 to 60 now. This, I mean, later he had his own thing going. Then he went to the first edition, and then of course he came out and became a star when he picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille.
Great song. The 60s, I don't know much about your 60s, or early 60s to middle 60s.
There wasn't much to talk about in the 60s because nothing was happening for me.
Okay.
I worked one club for 10 years, and then in 1963, I recorded a big band song called Lonely Wine. It made the charts, kept me working, and my life changed in 1971 when I went into business with a guy in Houston, in Pasadena I should say, and the club was called Shelley's. He stuck my name on it and called it Gilley's, and that's when my life turned around.
Why did you open the club there and not another, like a Nashville or a Memphis or New Orleans?
That's where I lived at.
Okay, that makes it pretty easy. That mechanical bull, who thought of that?
My business partner, Mr. Cryer. I would have never put a mechanical bull in the club. That's a rodeo training device. It was never meant to be in a entertainment establishment.
Okay, so a couple of years later, you start making it really big. Did you feel like you were going to make it big when you had the Room Full of Roses, or did it just happen?
In 1973, I acquired a little local TV show in the Houston area for a local furniture company called Furniture Outlet. And I got to do the commercials for them, and I got to do a 30-minute program every week on Channel 39 in Houston, Texas. We opened the show on Gilley's place, and following Gilley's place was Porter Wagner, the Wilburn Brothers, and then it went on down the line. It's about 4 hours of country music. I walk in the club one night in 1973, and a lady had the jukebox in Gilley's. She said, "Today on your TV show you did my favorite song." I said, "What was it?" She said, "She Called Me Baby All Night Long." I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's a Harlan Howard tune." She says, "I know it is. I'm in the jukebox business. Can't find that record anymore, and I want you to record it for me." I said, "For what?" She said, "I got 300 jukeboxes. I'm going to put it on every one of them." I said, "Ma'am, I hadn't made a record now in about 3.5, 4 years. The club's doing well. Television show's doing great. I've become a local celebrity in the Houston market. I don't need to make records anymore." She convinced me I needed to do it. I went in the studio to record She Called Me Baby, and it's a fluke. I picked the song Room Full of Roses for the B-side, recorded it. Now, I grew up singing that song with Jimmy and Jerry. I'm talking about Jimmy, Reverend Jimmy Swaggart, and Jerry Lee Lewis, my first cousin, and Jimmy, my second cousin. And a 6 months different age. I'm the youngest, Jerry Lee's in the middle, and Jimmy's the oldest, and I just turned 84 March 9th. Remember that.
So all of a sudden you hit it big. Was it strange? Was it peculiar?
Well, when Room Full of Roses was released locally in the Houston market, it became a hit for me in Houston. I sold everything I'd ever recorded. So I jump on an airplane, I take it to Nashville, trying to get a record company to pick it up, take it national for me. Everybody turned it down. I called a friend of mine who was doing record promotions. He said, "What are you doing in Nashville?" I said, "I came up with a record that's a hit in Houston, and I can't get a major label to take it and release it nationally for me. I'm probably going to lose it." He says, "I got a company that'll take it." And I said, "Who?" And he said, "Playboy Records." He's sort of a jokester, and I said, "You got to be kidding. You're telling me that Hugh Hefner has a record label?" I knew he had a magazine. So I went to his office. He throws me this record with a little bunny heads on it, and I said, "I can't believe it." We jump on an airplane, we go to Los Angeles. They signed me to the Playboy record division. They take Room Full of Roses, and it climbs the charts and goes #1 for me. That was my first #1 record in 1974.
And then you had a lot of consecutive #1s.
Well, I followed that with I Overlooked an Orchid. I followed that with The City Lights. I followed that with The Wind Up Above. And we followed that with She's Pulling Me Back Again, Bring It On Home, and The Girls All Get Pretty Close in Time. They all went #1 for me.
Now, a lot of this, you've done a lot of 50s songs in the 70s. Do you like 50s music, obviously?
I like bluesy music.
And you like some of the same songwriters, like what was his name, Jerry Foster and Bill Rice.
I recorded quite a few of their songs. They did Here Comes the Hurt Again, She's Pulling Me Back Again, and I recorded several other tunes that wasn't hits that they had written.
Why do you like them?
I just like their writing. I just like the songs, I like the music.
Did they come to you with the music?
No, I went to their office and I complained about the fact that they're not giving me the top chef, and they said, "We give you the best things we were writing at the time." So,
when you started really making it, I know this is probably a bad question. Did Jerry give you any advice?
No.
Okay. Okay, so things are going really well for you. How do you get into the Urban Cowboy? How do you get into the Urban Cowboy movie? How did it happen?
My business partner installed a mechanical bull at the club in 77 or 78. I was on the road traveling with Conway Twitty and Miss Loretta Lynn. He didn't put the mechanical bull in, and I came in and I saw what he was doing, and I said, "You're making a big mistake, because we're going to get some lawsuits on this bull that you got in there, because people will get hurt on it." And I left it like that. A few weeks later, this guy comes down from New York by the name of Aaron Latham, and he writes this article for Esquire magazine, and he called it "The Ballad of the Urban Cowboy." I didn't like the article, because every other word in it was boy falls in love with girl, boy meets girl, twang, 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 twang. I had more twang, twangs in it, then the thing went on and on and on. And I'm going out to do the Merv Griffin show in Los Angeles, and he's flying out with me, my business partner. He said, "Don't say anything bad about the article in Esquire magazine. We might get a film on this movie, for a movie." And I said, "What side of the bed did you roll off on?" He said, "No, I'm serious." He said, "John Travolta's looking at it." And when he said John Travolta, it dawned on me. He come off Saturday Night Fever, and all Urban Cowboy was a country night fever.
It was. And you changed your style a bit. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I met this guy that recorded Stand By Me by the name of Jim Ed Norman, and he picked songs for me to do that changed my life again. I mean, I had many. I was like a yo-yo in the business. I was up and down so many times, it's unreal. He started picking songs like You Don't Know Me, That's All That Matters to Me, Headache Tomorrow, Heartache Tonight, Fool for Your Love, Put Your Dreams Away, and they all went #1 for me. They were good songs, good material. And John Travolta, you know, by doing the film, it opened up all the showrooms in Vegas, Reno, Tahoe, and Atlantic City. I did all those shows around the country. I went to Europe, I came back, I played at the White House for 2 presidents, President Ronald Reagan, President George Bush Sr., and they invited me to come out to Hollywood and gave me a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then the scary thing happened. They invited me to come back and do some acting. I did 2 episodes of The Fall Guy, 2 episodes of Dukes of Hazzard. I did 2 episodes on Fantasy Island, and I did 1 Murder, She Wrote.
Did you like acting?
It was fun. Didn't pay much, but it was fun.
Now, do you consider yourself a lucky man?
I'm very lucky. Yeah, I'm lucky to be alive. I've endured heart surgery, brain surgery, back surgery, appendix exploding, 2 airplane crashes, rolled a car 3 times. I'm still here at 84 and still performing.
You are.
I'm lucky.
You're very lucky. Did you, once you got, obviously you started making more money when things started clicking at 74 and after Urban Cowboy. Did you start buying anything extravagant that you really always wanted, like a sports car or something like that?
Airplanes.
What'd you buy?
King Air, prop jet. Cost me $1 million.
How long did you have it for?
5 years. And the King Air reminded me of the Fram filter commercial. Pay me now or pay me later.
So once you got so big, you must have met some of your heroes over the years. Did you meet anyone that's like a Roy A. Cavana? I'm not, whatever you. I don't.
Well, I met everybody in the country music field. I mean, you know, just about everybody that you can think of in the music industry. I've worked with. I worked with Conway and Loretta. I worked with Reba McEntire. I've worked with Kenny Rogers. I worked with George Jones, T.G. Shepherd, Johnny Rodriguez. Of course, me and Johnny Lee was a big part of the Urban Cowboy craze, and that's what we're doing here in Arizona now, doing some of the Urban Cowboy music.